These mystery booster commanders so far have been insane. And today we're going to check out one that's not really been on the radar of most people, but I think is the shadow best commander in the set. And no, I'm not talking about Lyra. We're talking about Itazura Lingering Wick. Please consider subscribing or liking if you enjoyed, and let's take a look at the commander. Now, Itazura is an Is-It commander. It's 2 blue-red for a legendary creature spirit, a 1/5. It has, at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top 3 cards of your library. Each opponent secretly chooses a number 0 or greater, then the numbers are revealed. Choose an opponent with the highest number. Itazura deals that much damage to them, then they may cast a spell from among the cards without paying its mana cost. Then you put one into your hand that wasn't cast this way. So the gist of the deck is we're going to play a lot of big spells to make our opponents want to win this gamble as much as they can. We're going to have spells that demonstrate, spells that are mega impact, spells that are as expensive as you can get. We're going to have a lot of spells that give things to opponents similar to demonstrate, and hopefully they're all going to fight against each other to get these spells while we look all innocent in the back. So far, I have been an insane fan of this commander. As usual, we're going to kick things off with the ramp. Soul Ring and Is-It Signet, 2 staples, as well as Iron Mirror and Silver Mirror. Arcane Signet and Mind Stone are also auto includes, as well as Wayfarer's Bauble and Everflowing Chalice. These are iconic mana staples that'll go in any deck. We have a high mana cost curve, so we're going to want to include extra mana rocks, so we're kind of going off the beaten path a little bit to make sure that we can get as much mana as possible. We also have Gilded Lotus and Worn Power Stone, which are more expensive than the average mana rock, but they tap for a little extra. Red Death Shipwrecker will give us a red, but also goad something, hopefully that we gave to our opponents. That way they hit other people. And rounding it out, we got Coveted Jewel and Brass's Bounty, 2 big mana spells that we think our opponents might fight for, but also if we get them ourselves, it's incredible. Next up, things that pair well with our commander, starting with the 9th Doctor. When it becomes untapped during our untap step, we get an additional upkeep, so Itazura will trigger an additional time. We have a few effects like that, like Shadow of the Second Sun is a 6 mana aura that enchants a player and gives them an additional upkeep at the end of their turn, as well as Sphinx of the Second Sun, which is 8 mana and does the same effect, but it's on a creature. We're also running Telepathy, which is surprisingly impactful for the gambling aspect. People are going to be willing to bid higher if they know they can't afford to give their opponents a spell. And last up, Roiling Vortex. It does some other burn stuff and makes it so people can't gain life, but what we're really looking at is whenever a player casts a spell for free, it deals 5 damage to them. So on top of winning the gamble, they're going to lose an extra 5 life. And here's some things that they can steal that will also benefit us. Alexios, Deimos of Cosmos is an incredible card that'll get passed around the table and swing for a ton. Everybody's going to want to deal with it immediately, but hopefully we're not the one casting it. The important thing to note is it'll never attack us. Conundrum Sphinx is probably my favorite card in Magic. When it attacks, everyone names a card and then flips the top. If they named the card correctly, they get to put it into their hand, otherwise it goes on the bottom. It's so fun. Creative Technique is one of those demonstrate spells that lets us basically cascade into something. Dragon Mage is a creature with when it deals damage, every player wheels. Huddle Up is a fun cantrip that makes 2 players draw cards specifically. Humble Defector is a creature that get passed around the table, but everyone's going to draw cards from it. Intellectual Offering lets us choose an opponent to make them draw cards, or choose an opponent and untap all of their non-land permanents and our non-land permanents. It's good for us, but if someone else casts it targeting us, we get that stuff for free. The 12th Doctor gives all of our spells demonstrate, but if someone steals that, they can demonstrate to everyone else. Weft Walking is also a really great group hug card. When it enters, if it was cast, you get to wheel, and each player's first spell each turn they can play without paying their mana cost, which is incredible for us. If an opponent gets control of it, we get that effect, but also, if we have it on our side, we get to do the wheel and cast stuff for free anyways. And last up is Agitator Ant. At the end step, each player puts some counters on stuff on the off chance that it's goaded. Whether this ends up in our hands, we don't really care because we can swing somewhere else. We're always going to get those 2 counters. But let's say that stuff gets a little too far out of hand. We're going to want to blow them up. Stuff like negate is really good if someone gets something that we don't want them to have. Reality shift can exile something permanently. We also have transforming flourish, which is a demonstrate spell that essentially chaos warps something. Zoyoa's justice puts something into its owner's library and then they discover +1, which is incredible with our commander. Chaos warp, everyone knows, you just get to kind of gamble for the top card. Pathrazor of Ulamog is a great thing that our opponents can cheat into play that has Annihilator on it. Perplexing Chimera is a really fun creature that we can use to steal something back when someone casts something for free with Itazura. And Blasphemous Act is a very iconic board wipe. As you can see, there's a lot of ways to steal back what got taken from us, so we're going to show a little more. Alicia Master's Skilled Sculptor lets everyone get back all of the creatures they own at the end of each turn, and we get a little treasure if we cast a non-creature, but we don't really care about that. Coveted Falcon says whenever it attacks, gain control of target permanent you own but don't control. Remand counters a spell, but it gets put in its owner's hand. Space Shift blinks something, but it's not something you control, so we can blink someone else's stuff to get it back. Same with Planar Incursion. Here's some more gifts that we can give. Combustible Gearhulk, when it ETBs, draw 3 or mill 3 and someone loses life. Dance with Calamity is an insane spell to get a bunch of things for free. Desolation Twin is a cast trigger off of Itazura, so they get the 10/10 and the 10/10. Kazul Tyrant of the Cliffs. Whenever someone attacks you, they have to pay 3 for each attacking creature, or you make a 3/3, which is awesome. Master of Predicaments is so fun. You pick a card in your hand and someone guesses whether it costs more or less than 4, and if they guess wrong, you get to cast it for free. Atali Primal Storm is an iconic red piece that steals something from the top of everybody's library. Artisan of Kozilek, another huge Eldrazi that gets something back from our graveyard to the battlefield and has Annihilator too. Darksteel Colossus is an 11/11 trample indestructible, which is great. Torian Mauler will build up over the course of the game. We don't want people to have this. This is one of our kind of pseudo win cons, but Deep Sea Kraken is akin to that, where if someone gets it for free, it's a 6/6 that can't be blocked, but we can also suspend it for 3, and eventually in the game, we'll get a 6/6 that can't be blocked. And our Budget Omniscience, one with the Multiverse. You look at the top card at any time, you can play lands and cast spells from the top, and once during each of your turns, you can cast a spell from your hand or the top without paying its mana cost. And we've gone this far without talking about the draw, so let's get into that. We have a few cantrips to help kind of dig deeper. We got Consider and Opt, very iconic, as well as Preordain and Frantic Search, and Brainstorm is so good in the deck. We're also running Stock Up on top of that, which is just a really good dig spell. One of my favorite cards is Curiosity in this deck because every upkeep Itazura is going to deal damage to somebody, so we'll get an additional card draw off of that. Snort is also really good for us. If someone gets it, they wheel everybody. We'll lose a little bit of life if we end up having to wheel from someone else casting it, but it's really good for us. Plargan Asari is also a really interesting card that basically does an Atali until we hit a non-land, but then an opponent chooses one and we can cast the rest. And I mean, who would I be if I didn't include Dig Through Time in a blue deck? This card is awesome. And we have to talk about one of our win cons, which is Triskaidekaphile. In our upkeep, if we have 13 cards in our hand, we win the game. So good. This is kind of like the main way to win if our opponents aren't willing to fight it out, which I don't think is really going to happen very much because all truces will break eventually once a huge thing gets flipped off the top, but you know, whatever. And now for the lands. Obviously, Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse have to be included for the sake of fixing. We also have Command Tower and Sulphur Falls. Temple of the False God is really good because we're going to have a lot of big spells to play, so just jumping that little bit forward is really good. We also have Scorched Geyser, which is a new budget add thanks to Marvel, and rounding it out we have Accursed Duneyard, which we can pay 2 and tap it to regenerate a Shade, Skeleton, Spectre, Spirit, Vampire, Wraith, or Zombie. Our commander's a spirit, so it's a little bit of protection on the budget to keep our commander alive. On top of that, we're also running 12 mountains and 16 islands to make sure we have enough lands to do what our deck wants to do. So that's about it. If you have any recommendations for a future build on a budget, put it in the comments and I'll check it out. Bye-bye!